I have a very important question. Am I the only one who bursts into tears every single time I see the Green Mile? Also, why, when it's on television, do you not just watch the DVD that you definitely own? Why do you sit through the whole thing and also watch all of the commercials just to get through it? There's something about the soundtrack by Thomas Newman that has always really deeply impacted me, and I think a lot of other people. And what I think Newman is especially good at is capturing nuance. For a composer who kind of has a very specific style and harmonic palette, he's just so brilliant, so talented at finding these little details that are happening on screen and bringing them out and really, really making you feel it. So today what I want to try is doing a little deconstruction of one of my favorite cues from the Green Mile. It's the ending scene, and I don't want to give it away, so if you haven't seen this movie, I don't recommend watching this video, but if you have, or you don't care how it ends, then stick around and watch this. I think it's gonna be really fun. I'm gonna do my best not to cry. And as always, if you enjoy the video, you can leave a like and subscribe. That makes me happy. All right.
John Coffey, you have been condemned to die in the electric chair by a jury of your peers, sentence imposed by a judge in good standing in this state. Do you have anything to say before sentence is carried out?
I'm sorry for what I am. Please, boss. Don't put that thing up on my face. Don't put me in the dark. I was afraid of the dark.
Okay, I'm gonna try and keep it together for this video. So first things first, notice how when he says, I'm sorry for what I am, there's no music. And that's really impactful and important because you always want to anticipate things later. Later. You need to have the audience react. And with that silence, that just kind of falls and you just kind of sit with that he doesn't really realize what he's done wrong and he just thinks that he's the one to blame. Then when the music actually comes in, we start with open fifths. C sharp, open fifths. So open fifths means that we're not implying if the chord is major or minor yet, right? So if it started like this, that would be minor and that would imply that it's sad. And if it was like this, I think they probably got the wrong person scoring this film. So these open fifths, they're ambiguous. They don't tell us what the harmony's saying yet. So listen to that again.
I'm sorry for what I am.
There it is. There's a flute.
Please, boss. Don't put that thing up on my face. Don't put me in the dark. I was afraid of the dark.
Okay, so now we start with a flute, and a flute typically sounds innocent. So there's this juxtaposition against this big, powerful guy and a flute, which is innocent and childlike. And what Newman's kind of highlighting here is, deep down, this guy's just a kind of a kid. He's kind of innocent and unaware of what's happening in his surroundings, and that's why it's so powerful. Now that flute plays. Again, just kind of landing on these ambiguous notes. And then we get. So we finally landed on this minor chord. But after a while, it kind of sinks in or seeps in. Okay, now listen to where it goes. This is the part that really gets me.
Don't put me in the dark. I was afraid of the dark.
All right, Joe.
Oh boy, it's happening early. So now we drop. This harmony drops. It was suspended up in the air for a while, right? And that just kind of gives it that feeling that we don't know where this is going to land. And then we get. Right, so it lands on this 4 chord. Oof. Powerful and dark and rich. Just really somber and dark. So it's on his reaction too. You notice it happens when Tom Hanks it gets a close-up of his eyes. Like, he realizes, oh my gosh, what are we doing?
I was afraid of the dark.
All right, John.
Okay, moving on. Okay. Really big tone shift there, right? So we were sentimental and sad, and then all of a sudden we get this. Very ominous and dark. So we're suddenly shifting from this empathetic feeling of kind of sympathizing with the main character to this is like kind of horrifying and sad. And you also get this juxtaposition because he's singing to himself, right? He's singing Heaven, I'm in Heaven, as we're getting this dark, non-heavenly music. And that sort of shifts the tone a little bit. If it was sentimental all the way through, it might not feel quite as impactful. So he's being cautious about how he's using that. Let's move on.
John Coffey.
Okay, so there we're getting this ascending pattern. And on the top, we have this. And if you recognize both of these little ideas, that's because he's already presented them. Newman already had this happen. That little opening pattern, that's what the piano's playing. And then this is exactly what we have in the bass. Now, it's worth pointing out that most of the harmony in this so far is pentatonic, which kind of has its own unique feel. It's not quite somber. It's somewhere in the middle. Again, it has that ambiguity. Why he chose that, I'm not totally positive. But it does offer a nice contrast against the other kind of harmonies that we put in, like that against just kind of feels a bit more open. All right.
John Coffey. Electricity shall now be passed through your body until you are dead, in accordance with state law. May God have mercy on your soul.
Oof. Oof, oof, oof. All right, so he goes to a major chord here. Really interesting. John Coffey. Electricity will be sent through your body until you are pronounced dead. I think that's what he says. May the Lord have mercy on your soul. Very interesting contrast, right? How do you even describe what that feels like? My gosh. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. And that's the beauty of music, is it just escapes words sometimes. And I think Newman is an expert at this. It's hard to explain why that works. Maybe because in a way it takes us out of the somberness of this for a second and just shows us, you know, it's like fate, it's destiny. This is how it's always meant to be. I'm not sure. Okay. That's our next hit point. So we have this upper tragic strings kind of doing clusters, which means everything is kind of really, really close to each other and feels very tight and tense. So we have like... Again, just kind of creating that sense of tension and sadness. Drama, really, is a very dramatic part as they're all just kind of looking at each other. And now we're going to go into our next scene, which is one of my favorite kind of hit points that Newman does.
You have to say it. You have to give the order.
All right, before we get to this moment, because it's going to break me. Poe, you have to say it. You have to say the order. See how it falls in between the spaces of the dialogue? Also, we're having this drone the whole time through. Just feels like sighing. Like breathing and sighing. Now, I bring up this drone because it's really important, because it's been happening through a great portion of this now. But watch what happens next.
He kill them with their love. That's how it is every day, all over the world.
Roll on two.
Okay. See, I told you it happens to me every time. Literally have goosebumps. I don't think you can see them. Okay. So I have some theories why this is so freaking sad. So a couple things. Sorry, I'll try and keep it together. Other than the movie just being amazing. Our drone dropped. And when the drone drops and we have, you know, for a moment, just silence on the base, it feels like the floor kind of drops beneath us. It's a very useful tactic as a composer. And it sort of suspends us in the air for this moment where he holds his hand. And we finally get the solo piano. Now, for the first time, we get an E chord. So we finally get that E chord, which almost is a bit major and it's unexpected, right? So we get this piano, but even more than the harmony, just pay attention to the instrumentation. We had piano. Now watch what happens.
He kill them with their love. That's how it is every day, all over the world.
Strings come in. Kind of like the beginning. Listen to the piano.
Roll on two.
Do you get it? Where'd the piano go? The piano's gone. Right as he says roll on two. So what I think is the piano represents John Coffey, because he's saying, I'm in heaven, I'm in heaven. And then here, so we have the piano kind of carrying him along. And the piano is a soloistic instrument, right? So when you hear piano, you kind of think of an individual. And in this case, I think we're thinking of John Coffey. But when he says, roll on two, and John Coffey's dying, the piano's gone. And you're just left with the strings. And what do strings represent? Well, I think strings represent, like, heaven, the ethereal. Strings are always used to kind of lift you up and carry you places. And so it's almost like the piano was John Coffey, and the strings are taking his spirit away. Now, maybe I'm stretching too far. Maybe if Tom Newman watches this, he can support my claim or deny it. But I think that is what is so incredibly powerful about music, is the ability to do things like this. And I'm going to play it again so you can test my theory for yourself.
Roll on two.
Now this is piano again. It's almost like it's his memory, his spirit. Oh man, folks. Well, I knew I was gonna cry, but this is why I love film music so much. I can't express it enough. It's so deep. Because composing is an amazing thing, and I love composing so much, but writing for film, the ability to interact with picture in this way, I mean, as I'm sure you can tell, I'm just so deeply passionate about it. And composers like Thomas Newman, who have this ability to weave in and out of the story and tell things that we couldn't otherwise see, I think are just so incredible and contribute so much to art. So thank you, Thomas Newman. Thank you all film composers for the wonderful work you do. And I hope you found this video helpful, interesting, inspiring for your own artistic storytelling. If you did, you can leave a like, subscribe for more. If you want to support me, you can check out my Patreon in the description, or you can use the Buy Me a Coffee if you want to just buy me a coffee. Thank you all so much for watching. Let me know if you want to do more of these, because this was really fun. So see you in the next video.